Good morning, good morning, morning. It is Thursday, the 28th of May, 2026. How are you all doing this morning? Sorry, I was a bit late getting started. I put the telly on because I didn't want it off behind me, right? Put it on. And it's like Radio 5 Live. I think I'm going mad. I'm just like, hang on, what? This isn't BBC News, but it is. That's the news channel. They're showing Radio 5. Weird, mind blown. Anyway, hope you're all well this morning. As you see, as you can probably hear, I have a slight frog in my throat, a little ribbity bastard. Mostly because I was up till 2:30 last night doing my 65 and a half hour marathon live stream. It was fun. It was a good laugh. Cards on the table. I wasn't knackered. I probably could have gone on longer, but I thought, do you know what? If someone beats this record, I don't want to be. I don't want it to be impossible for me to wrestle it back. So yeah. So I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who took part, everyone who left a message and encouragement and support, everyone who dropped a super chat or a mega chat or an ultra chat. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Genuinely couldn't have done it without you, right? And Kat. But without that support network, I couldn't have done what I did. Otherwise, I would have been just talking to the wall. So physically, my ankles are swollen, so I've had to have my feet up all morning to try and get them to swell a little bit less. I bit my tongue when I was talking, and then because I was like eating and talking at the same time, and now my tongue is like really really sore. But it's one of those things you can't do much about. But if I sound like I'm slurring a little bit, that's why. Anyway, so Graham throws down the gauntlet. Says Billy Kershaw. Yeah, yeah. Suck a fisherman's friend. If you don't, I will. Lol. Yeah, I could really do with actually going to the shop and getting some throat lozenges. Um, but yeah, so just big thank you to everyone who took part, put up with me going on about all kinds of stuff. We managed to go through every country in the world. We managed to go to all the neo wonders of the world. We went through 1001 movies. We played some GeoGuessr and some games online together. It was really fun. It was really, really fun. So thank you so much. I'm glad I did it. Hopefully, I'll get my Guinness World Record. I don't know. That I've done stuff like this before, and I've gone to them and they're like, but, and then they'll come out with something like a random reason why my attempt wasn't valid. But fingers crossed. 65 hours and 30 minutes will be the new benchmark for someone trying to do this. So yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Who we got in the chat? We got Diz in there, got Lost of Mystery, you got Talk Madia, Gallifrey and Ren in there. Hello, hello. What's thank you. I had to give up following it at 60 hours. I was exhausted, says Russ. Thanks very much, Russell, for going on the other stream as well. And actually being there, and actually making sure that it was going out on Twitch. Hopefully, it'll save it, so that's a backup in case. Because obviously, with you want to do a continuous live stream, but if you do, then YouTube doesn't save your video if you do a video that goes on for more than 12 hours. So I kept on having to start a new one. So I think we got to part 6 by the end. So yeah, speak up, Graham. I can't hear you, says Scott. It's the best I can do, mate. I'm sorry. I've been talking a bit. It's funny this morning. I woke up at my normal time, like 8 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, I'll get everything ready. Get it all. And Kat's gone. She's away at work, and I'm like in the house on my own, and I say something out of my mouth, and like nothing comes out, and I was like, because I'd like set up the graphics and everything for this morning's show. I thought, oh, maybe I should have tested my voice before I started the show. But we got some ice water. Mm. Mm. It's genuinely refreshing, and I've got some coffee. So yeah. I looked at Twitch this morning. It seems to have saved it, but chopped it into several pieces. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the way it works. Then, yeah, good. Um, I'm glad you called it at the 60, 65 hour mark. 75 hours of no sleep, you enter the real danger zone. Well, I was toying with the idea of keeping going until 9 o'clock this morning. But then, like I said, I mean, I'd rather I'd rather go out and be able to turn everything off and tidy up a bit. Not enough. I'll have a shower before I go to bed, rather than just literally fall asleep on camera, which is what might have happened. Um, but there you go. Being afraid of heights is a healthy survival instinct. It is like being afraid of spiders and snakes and lions and tigers and bears are my. And some of the other things that happens when you just talk continuously for hours on end. My lips got pretty chapped, and also like I'm moisturising now. Look at me moisturising. But yeah, it's sort of some weird physiological things, and you don't really notice it till you stand up. This is like when you're on a plane, right, and you've had a few, and then you don't notice till you stand up, and then you suddenly whoa, it's a bit like that. Um, uh, I'm afraid heights. I live on a hill, sitting over it. um, you need more honey toast. That sorted you out yesterday. Well, it's funny you say that because literally was eating that when the credits are rolling here. So I'm like, oh, no, finish off your honey toast, Graham. What you want to do? Get loads of honey on toast. Put it in the microwave. Put it in the microwave for like 20 seconds. Not long enough to make the bread, the toast go all soggy, but long enough to get that what's it called? Get that honey nice and hot honey. It's all good. Mm, mm. It's good. It's good. Shouldn't really eat in camera. Just watching back some of the footage where I was eating. I'm like, that is really bad. And plus, because I had a cold, blowing my nose all the time wasn't fun. And so hopefully that's gone away now. Fingers crossed. I don't know. Game was all good. Like, thank you. Mm, absolute champion. Thank you. 3x TVE. mm, 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 mm. So we're going to talk about what's going on today in the news, because that's what we do on this show. So what we're going to do is going to start with the newspapers. Oh, it's not set up yet. Let me just get rid of this. Some large papers. Oh, that's my notes. That's my notes there. Got to see my notes. So, first of all, we're going to go over to the I paper. Call for welfare reform to save young people from becoming lost generation. There's a lot of this in the news on the BBC page and the Guardian page as well. Mm. 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 Oh, wow. Sorry, pardon me. Pauline, thank you so much. £50 super chat. Oh my word. Thank you. Got a mega chat in. Got a mega chat. Woo! I'm gonna fire off the confetti just for you. I can't scream. Thank you. And yeah, it's been fun, and honestly, thank you so much. Thank you to Pauline. Thank you to Eurowash. Oh wow. You look and sound like I feel on a Friday, Graham. Stay strong. Thank you so much. Oh, that was just a super chat. But thank you. I should press the wrong button there. So after years of blaming young people for everything, the papers are now concerned they aren't working. Karma. Well, this is it. I mean, the younger people. Well, some people watching this are older, and they're sound, but jobs, lost generation, blame. I mean, the older generation, a lot of people who were retired voted for Brexit, which has made life just so much more difficult for everyone. And I know I've been banging the drum on this for years, but it's true. Like the opportunities have shrank, our horizons have narrowed. And after the Brexit vote, when it was clear from any poll, no matter what your personal opinion on it was, every poll showed the same thing. The demographic breakdown of the vote was that young people overwhelmingly voted to stay in and older people overwhelmingly voted to stay out. And look, I don't know, but generally speaking, if it had been me, right, if I'd been 65, 70 years old and I saw that and I voted for Brexit, I'd be like, oh shit, okay, this isn't what the younger generation wants. It's not what Scotland wants. It's not what Northern Ireland wants. It's not what all the people who are coming up want. I'd realise that it's not a game of football. It's not like a haha, our side won, deal with it, because I wouldn't have to deal with it. Not if I was getting older and older, and I probably wouldn't be here as long. But it really is a shit sandwich that's been handed to us. And then we had 3 years of people going down to London and going to Manchester and Liverpool and Brighton and marching on the street saying we do not want to leave. And still a lot, not everyone. Hang on. Before I go on, I better do this before I get into trouble. Not everyone, but the majority looked at the young people and said, no, you don't know what you want. You're stupid and young. I'm going to tell you, my opinion, and you're going to have to live with it. As Femi says, if there's in a room full of people and you put on a film on TV that nobody wants to watch apart from you, and then you walk out before the end of it, it's a bit like, yeah, dick move, man. And it's really made it very difficult. The opportunities to go and live and work in other countries has been taken away from young people, and there's a lot of despair. And I think a lot of people don't remember what it was like 10 years ago. It wasn't like this. It wasn't like everyone feeling put upon. Young people, trans people, people who come from other countries. It was people were getting on with it. And I don't want to sort of fall into that trap of like toxic nostalgia of like, it was all so much better in the past. It wasn't, but things were getting better. 10 years ago, it just stopped. It stopped getting better for anyone who's not white, anyone who's not Christian, anyone who's not male, anyone who's not, anyone who's not cis. And life just got more and more difficult. Different groups of people finding they're going to have to look over their shoulder more. The amount of Islamophobia, xenophobia, anti-Semitism that is out there now is way more than there was 10 years ago, because people are out and proud about it. People used to hide their fash in the bushel. They don't do that anymore. They like to crow it from the rooftops because they think they're so right. But yeah, I'm aware that people in the chat will be like, oh, fuck off, Graham. You can't complain about you can't say it was all old people, but it was the majority of them, and they had the opportunity to look at the data and go, oh, hang on. Although this is what I want because I've been told by newspapers for years that the EU is the most evil thing that ever existed. It's not what young people want, and there were some people who voted for it and then went, it's not what the young people want. But generally speaking, we were led off a financial, socio-economic, um, and cultural cliff by a generation, a lot of whom aren't with us anymore. And that sounds harsh, but it's true, and it's a bit unfair. There's an expression that was used by Christopher Hitchens when he was still around, talking about North Korea being the world's first necocracy, as in it was ruled by the dead, because the first Kim of the dynasty still had power, who's still the all eternal executive power, even though he'd been dead for like 30, 40 years. And that's where we are now. There's a lot of people who aren't with us anymore. I mean, sadly, I don't want anyone to die, but almost no one. But I do feel like there's a lot of people who voted for something that they never had to deal with the consequences of, and now we're dealing with the consequences. Britain faces a generational fault line in which more than 1.5 million young people could be out of work unless Labour takes action. This is the worklessness SAR saying this. Alan Milburn warns that the first rung of the career ladder is now out of reach for many young people who are not in employment, education, or training. And you are seeing people who are like really, really qualified and done everything right, and they've got a university degree, and they've now got this massive amount of debt, 50, 60, 70,000 pounds of debt on their shoulders. And everyone, and they're going for jobs. I saw an interview with a young woman who she'd sent out like 200 CVs, and she's like, "I'm lucky if I get a reply." um, a truly united kingdom would have never left the two parts of the UK, said Remain. Yeah, yeah, Mr. Tisk, and I still believe that. I still believe that you can't. And when we go back, it does have to be a supermajority. We were talking about the voting for things like, let's talk about every country in the world. So when Norway had a vote to leave Denmark, it was 99%. When the island of Mayotte in the Indian Ocean had a vote to leave France and become part of independent Comoros, it was a no, 99%. When Gibraltar voted whether to stay in the EU or not, it was emphatic. It was 97 or 98%. Yes, please, we need to stay in this thing, because they realised the problems down the road. Stuff like when I went to Gibraltar, I met with representatives of the Gibraltar government and said, "What's the problem here?" And I was reading a piece about this the other day. They've got nowhere for their trash to go. They've got nowhere for their shit to go, because they used to just send it all onto the mainland to be dealt with, and they can't do that anymore. And it's just like stuff like that nobody thought about. There used to be a waste incineration plant until like the relations between, I don't want to say the UK and Spain, but Gibraltar and Spain were normalised in 1985 as a requirement for Spain to join the EU. If Spain hadn't, sort of given up its territorial desires to take back Gibraltar, they wouldn't have been allowed to join the EU. They had to sort of normalise relations. It was, and that's a really good thing that the EU put in place. And I'm sure someone in the chat will say, "But Graham, you lunatic! It should be part of Spain. Look, it's obviously closer to Spain than it is to the UK. It doesn't matter. What matters is what the people who live there want, what the Chagosans want, what the people in the Falklands want. Falklands people, they voted 99% to stay with the UK. The rocks have no vote. The sheep there have no vote. It's the people. What do the people want to do? And when it's something as emphatic as that, it's like, well, can we argue with it? Can we argue with it? There was another vote, wasn't there? Like recently, where it was like 99.9% of people who voted were like no, just like, and you think, how can you drag, just in terms of democracy? How can you change fundamentally the constitution of a country and change the life of every single human being living here in one way or another? Some people were affected not as much, yeah, but everyone was affected on a vote that's 52-48. That's an absolute nonsense. And it's why in countries that have written constitutions, it's nearly always, if you want to change the constitution, it's got to be a 2/3 majority. We had 52% vote for Brexit of the people who voted, and then in the 2019 election, the Tories won a massive majority with just 40% of the vote, if that. So 60% of the people who voted for other parties. They didn't vote for the people who then rammed through a change to our constitution, which is going to have repercussions for years, probably decades down the line. So I'm trying to be as compassionate as possible here. We're just going, "Oh, bloody old people who voted this." But this is the thing. People were given a chance to change their mind, and they didn't. And I think that's unforgivable. I don't mind that some people voted for Brexit. Well, I do mind, but it's the ones who are still sticking to the guns to this day and coming up with bullshit like, oh, it would have worked if only it had been done properly. That's what people have said for years about anarchy, for years about religious cults that ended in disaster, for years about communism. Oh, if only we'd done it properly, it would have worked out. It's like, no, if you have a system that not only doesn't, people go, oh, communism's a good idea on paper, but it doesn't work in practice. I'm like, it's not even a good idea on paper because people are greedy. And what you're going to have is a lot of people who have bugger all, and you're going to have a small clique of people who are in charge who have essentially unlimited power. And we're seeing how this is played out in communist regimes in China, in Russia, and across the USSR. You get a small clique of people who run everything to their own personal gain, while everyone else has bugger all. Capitalism does exactly the same thing. People go, oh, they don't want to think, they don't want to come up with clever solutions to problems that we face in our societies and in our day-to-day lives. They don't want to do that. That requires thinking. These are deeply unserious and lazy people. They don't want to do that. And so you get these capitalists who are like ultra capitalists who say, oh, we should let the market decide. The market like the market is some kind of like moral arbiter of what's right and wrong. It's not. It doesn't give a stop. It doesn't give it a shit. And it's something that incentivizes bad behavior. It incentivizes gambling with other people's money. That's bad behavior. It incentivizes taking unacceptable risks with other people's behavior. That's, pretty morally, I'm not going to say dubious, I'll say defunct. There's nothing there. Do you know what I mean? And it encourages people to avoid tax. There's a thing of like, imagine like you got a reward for like speeding. Imagine you get in your car and you drive 120 miles an hour to Manchester, and then you get out the other side, and a copper comes out and goes, "Oh, I saw you driving at 120 miles an hour there all the way to Manchester. Oh yeah, I don't think the rules should apply to me." Well, you're in luck because normally, everyone else would have to pay a fine for that, but because you're so clever and you're so awesome and you're probably born rich, I'm going to give you 200 quid of taxpayers' money. How does that encourage people not to speed? How does that encourage people not to avoid or evade tax? They get a financial bonus. And when you read about someone like Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men in the world, who apparently only earns $70,000 a year and actually gets tax credits and income support, richest man in the world, because what he does, and what a lot of these billionaires, millionaires do, Trump does this, Farage does this, Musk does this, Bezos does this, they go to the bank and say, can I have a loan? And the bank go, yeah, what do you got in collateral? I've got like $1 trillion worth of shares in this company. Okay, we know you can pay back this loan then. Here you go, matey. And then suddenly, they've got millions and millions of dollars that they can spend on stuff tax free. It's a loan. And then what you do is you have income coming into your company and you just use that offset against the loan on your repayments. So you don't pay tax on that either. And it's obvious that this is what people are doing. And someone says, oh, well, if you tax the rich, they'll just leave. Okay, right, here's what you do. America does this. Keep taxing them. Keep taxing them. Why do we have a thing that you leave the country, you don't have to pay tax? What a load of nonsense. She'll made a load of money in this country because of the roads that someone else built and the sewers that someone else built and the street lights that someone else installed and the schools that someone else built and the teachers that someone else paid for to educate you. you're going to take all that, make loads of money and then bugger off. Okay, fine, but you're going to have to pay a top rate of tax as a special. Do you know, you'll make them feel special. So I call it the expat tax. If you leave this country, you have to pay for the next 5 or 10 years the highest possible rate of tax. So if they stay here, they pay 40% above a certain amount. If they leave, they pay 60%. You can't get out of it. Or when you come back to the country and you get arrested and put in jail. Simple as that. You don't get any support from the embassy in Dubai, the British embassy, if you get into trouble because you're in a country where there's things that are illegal that aren't illegal here. You get into trouble because you're drunk on the streets or because your company goes bankrupt. There's no bankruptcy laws over there. You still owe the money. You can go to jail for that in Dubai. And you call the British Embassy, help get me out. And you say, "Oh, sorry, you haven't paid your tax. Go get help elsewhere." I mean, we do that all the time for people who get like kidnapped by terrorists, don't we? Well, sorry, there's nothing we can do. Mm. Tiger PI. As an immigrant, I was denied a vote in the referendum. Now I can vote. There are millions in my position, Commonwealth citizens in the UK can vote, and they voted out. Yeah, yeah, because it was in their interest. There's people, if you were from Tuvalu or Kiribati, or you were from one of these new countries that have joined the Commonwealth, who were nothing to do with the British overseas empire or protectorates or colonies, you could get a vote, theoretically, which is crazy, isn't it? And EU citizens here, which obviously this was going to disrupt their lives, didn't get a vote. And now people, well, for the last 10 years, there's been such a brain drain, such an exodus amongst highly qualified, highly skilled European citizens living in the UK who have lost them. And we ain't getting them back, not anytime soon, anyway. Like, it's a lot of upheaval moving house, right? That's moving house. That's packing all your stuff away, getting the removals people. That's just going down the road, going to another country where you might not be that au fait with the language because it's been so long, or you grew up in this country, you came over as a kid, got no friends over there, you got no community, you got no support network, just thrown in at the deep end. And this is really, 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 an awful situation. But about CW, I imagine Graham slept well after 48 hours. Hmm. No, I thought I let the chips fall where they may in terms of like what time I woke up this morning and whether we'd actually do a morning brew. And I woke up at 8 o'clock, my normal time. I just like woke up. I was like, oh, okay. Even though it was way past 3 by the time I got to bed last night. I really like this new clock. I think that's really cool. I really like the TV. I'm going to make that look a bit better instead of being sitting on the sleepers there. I've been thinking about these pictures behind me and how to make that all look a bit better. I like the Guinness World Record on the wall there with old Brock sitting on the books. Yeah, I just saw this. I've got we've got the Trumpton project there. It's a bit of an advert for our mate, our dear friend Mike. But yeah, I'm gonna not do a long show today, as you can possibly imagine. I'm a little bit still need to recuperate, and what I really need to do is put my feet up, literally put my feet up, because I sort of like yesterday because I was wearing socks and shoes the whole time that I did that, and I didn't change my clothes, so I was like after the show last night, I went upstairs and had a 10 o'clock. I went upstairs and got changed and had a shower and like I thought, oh god, it felt like my feet were bruised. If you'd like kicked something or something on the side of your foot and it really hurt. And I looked down at my feet and my feet are like all puffy like this. Like oh god, hope I'm not pregnant. um, and yeah, it's grossly unfair. Nothing seems to be done with it about it. Graham, you deserve a bloody rest. Thanks, Chris. How is it right or fair that billionaires and millionaires pay an effectively low rate of tax when compared with a teacher, nurse, police officer? And it's not just that they pay a lower rate of tax. It's like they have incentives baked into the system to take the piss, because the incentives mean they get more money for themselves, putting less money into the system, which is a huge knock on. So yeah, okay, you'll leave the country, it's fine, but bear in mind you're going to be taxed at 60% for the next 5 years, and then we're going to. I realise you can't take someone's passport off them really, but you can say, well, I mean, if you've committed a crime, you can have your passport taken off you and you have to stay here. So maybe that'll be the case. Maybe we'll get people deported back to the UK, extradited back to the UK for non-payment of tax, and then we take the passports off them so they can't go anywhere. They're trapped here. I mean, we can do that. I know it's draconian, but pay your fucking tax. Come on. We're really struggling, and it's so maddening that um it was said years ago. The problem isn't that there's not enough food, there's not enough water, there's not enough stuff to go around. That absolutely is. This planet could, fairly easily accommodate 10 billion people. Um, but we are we have this mentality of like greed, and it's not a problem of growing the crops. It's a problem of logistics. All of it's a problem of logistics, moving the stuff around, getting it to the people who need it, getting the medicines to the kids who need it. Um, if I had a £1 billion, I complain about the number of zeros on my piece of plastic. Okay. Gillian, the system has always been rigged to benefit the wealthiest and elite. Yeah. And then, yeah, daylight time, you can't satisfy the rich. That's a really good point. They'll never have enough. You see this all the time. These people have got more money they can spend in several lifetimes, and yet it's still not enough. It's like, God. Go away. Not all boomers. Why did that? Oh, I pressed the space button. Is that what happened when I pressed the space button? Didn't realise that. um, so what I'm going to do as well, after my thing, my marathon, I kind of forgot to do this before I started the show this morning. It's to get this to go out on. I don't think I'm going to go. I don't know if it's a waste of time for it to go out on Twitch, on another channel, but certainly TikTok. I think is a good idea to put it out there because it's a bit of an advert for people to come over here. I like to think. So yeah, I was hoping that we'd get like loads of new subscribers to the channel, by being online. I kind of forgot though how annoying I am. We actually lost 9 subscribers this week. I was like, so yeah. If you know anyone who's got like a high tolerance for gobby ginger scousers, say, I watch this guy on the on the internet. He's all right. Hey, talking about being all right, it's Sid there who's been a member of the channel for 7 months. Thank you so much. You are the best. Thank you. Go get some rest. Yes, I do need to get some rest. That is true, my friend. I'm just going to set this camera up. I'll take the phone. You can't take the wealth with you when you shuffle off this mortal world. But they do. I mean, they do. They give it to their kids without the kids having to pay any tax. The Duke of Westminster, his like 29-year-old son inherited over £11 billion, and he didn't pay a penny in tax. He didn't pay a penny. No, that's the stuff. That's the stuff that just drives people, to distraction. Um, oh, do you know what else I could do? No, I'm not going to do that. So if let's go live there, around. Let's do that thing where it says TikTok isn't responding again. It was doing that. It was doing that when I started. I think it's my phone is just a bit, a bit crap. 3, 2, 1. Hello. Am I going live? Hello. Oh, no, it looks a bit glitchy. Hello. I'm doing a show called Morning Brew on my Hughes of the World channel on YouTube. Sorry if I'm not all with it this morning. I've had a bit of a busy week. um, my mum has a high tolerance for me, so I'll send her the link, Graham. Fantastic. The disease president is on the TV. Well, that's why I've moved things a little bit. Hello everyone. Over on TikTok. Hello, you wonderful TikToky people. My name is Graham Hughes. I do a show each morning in which I talk about the news, talk about what's happening, and if you go onto my YouTube page, which is youtube.com/at Graham David Hughes, just my name. You'll be able to join in with the chat. So be cool. What a guy, says Cuthbert. Oh, thank you, Cuthbert. And thank you for sticking with the chat. Cuthbert was in there right to the end, pretty much, weren't you, Cuthbert? Like we were working on trying to get trying to do the games, trying to do like GeoGuessr and stuff. Um, what's very quiet? My mic is it? I'm actually not being very loud when I talk because I mean I don't want to affect my voice anymore. All you've done this week is sit in the chair going, yeah. It's you know what? It's mad, isn't it, Martin? It's like you do something like that and you think, oh, it's going to be dead difficult to just sit in a chair and talk for like but yeah, I can do that for 8 hours, no problem. I can do it for 16 hours. But once you get past the sort of 24-hour mark, it's I don't know. I'd be interested. I don't like watching myself back, and it's one of the reasons why I don't like editing stuff that I've done in the past, or even editing this stream on YouTube, so I can have like a little compact bit of it. And I'll be interested to watch it back to just see how much bollocks I'm talking last night when I'm talking about movies and talking about how they influence each other and all that. I'm pretty sure I'm got what I think I'm saying in my head is not the words that are coming out my mouth. But there you go. I bet you were glad when you bought your new chair before you did those 65.5 hours. Yes, yeah. Glad I bought a new chair. Glad I've got these shelves. A good little investment. And like if we can get a good coffee table for there to put the telly on, that's our bedroom telly. So I don't know if we can keep it there forever, but I do like because I was thinking about this. If something breaking news happens, I mean, BBC are terrible for this. They think that everything's breaking news, don't they? Like breaking news, and you're like, oh, what is it? It's like the sun came up this morning, and you're like, okay, yeah, breaking news, and it's like, oh, what is it? What is it? Some band released a new album today, and it's like, okay, um, but yeah, at least I can see that on the monitor, right? And if it does come up with breaking news, I can just turn around and go, oh, because it will come up on the screen. So I think it's kind of good to have it in the background. So I might make that a permanent feature. But like I say, it's the TV from the bedroom. So I don't know how Kat's going to feel about it. Um, I'll tell you what though, like it's so easy to forget just how insane it was when we had CRT televisions and moving a TV from one room to the other, especially a big one. It was like it was a two-person job. These days, you can pick that up to your arm and have a cup of tea and use your hands and just walk around the house. It's amazing. Um, hang on, his news with Chris being replaced. No, Chris, you can do this. You can do this. Is Emmy in the chat? Hello, Emmy. Are you still going? Says Emmy. Well, I did have a break. I've finished my marathon. This is just a normal morning show that I do each morning, where I go through the news and have a chat with the regulars. It's nice. This. Do you know what? Like what it's like, isn't it? It's like me having a cafe. It's like when we talk about the way that the Sunday or the Friday night social feels like a going into the pub. The regulars shuffle in, and everyone's like having a natter about stuff. And I think it's really cool the way that we have the technology to do this these days. While I'm moaning about, oh God, we've got all these challenges that we face, it is really frustrating that we have more opportunity to do stuff, really cool shit than ever before. The fact that you can get a phone for second hand 60 quid, and that is a TV studio that can broadcast to every single human on the planet in your pocket. Just think about that for a moment. An entire studio in your pocket. It can do. It can do. Not just film you and have your sound. It can also put special effects on there. It can key out your background. It can do all this kind of stuff and go out pretty much live to people who are living in Papua New Guinea, people who are living in Paraguay, people who are living in Palau. Just Pakistan. That is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. And I feel like we are kind of lucky in that respect that we can have these two-way conversations. And also for my gang on it, this is my therapy. I would go mad. I would go absolutely mad if I couldn't go. What the hell's going on? Anyway, I'm going to just nip back over to to the papers now. Listen, I'm gonna wrap up pretty much on 10 o'clock on the dot. So if you want any more of me, I'll try and do something later today. But I've still got a bit of clearing up to do. I've got to sort that stuff out and things like that. So yeah, I'll get stuff done and I'll see how I feel. I might go back to bed. I don't know. A guy I know who did the record attempt for the longest continuous radio broadcast said he was hallucinating by the end, and then a group of students broke the record a few weeks later. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking of the leaving it at 65 and a half hours. I was like, well, I'll do. Mm. Mm. Pants McGee there saying morning twatters. um, it's already past 10. Oh, sorry, half 10. You see, it's not hallucinating. I'm going to wrap it up at half 10 on the dot. Richie, I'll be more than happy to acquire another flight back tomorrow. What? Um, honestly, people complain about me. Well, not complain. People are like, Graham, if you keep doing this, you're gonna start hallucinating. Honestly, Doc 4x4's comments are like, I read them and I think I'm going, what? No offences are 4x4. I love having you with us, but I have no idea what you're talking about 99% of the time. I'm just like, a part of that is like, I'm not reading every comment, so there's a conversation going on. I don't know what you're referring to, but yeah, just the Dark 4x4 certainly seems to be on a different plane of consciousness, let's say, than the rest of us, or me anyway. So I'll head over here to the Times. I tried the dangerous frog poison detox. That's shouldn't be allowed. Why is it allowed to people to inject poison into their faces? No, where the nanny state over the most ridiculous things. And when it comes to really dangerous stuff that people do, it's like, oh yeah, you get someone unqualified to inject literally botulism toxins into someone's face to paralyze it. That gets rid of your wrinkles. Um, there's a picture there of the Shanice Brooks, who was killed outside a bar in Sheffield on Monday. Really awful story. Ministers raise heat on PM over North Sea. They dispute the claim that drilling won't cut bills. Of course they do, because they're being paid by the oil companies to dispute it. Over half of NEET have never held a job. More than half of economically inactive young people have never had a job, and a growing number of university graduates are unable to find work. Then we've got these stories at the bottom here, so I'll scroll down so you can see them. More doctor strikes. Resident doctors, they say junior, but resident doctors announced a 4-day strike for next month. A teenage girl who was raped by 3 boys has told the Times that she feels like she is the one being punished. I'm not surprised. That is absolutely horrific. In this day and age, with the toxic manosphere and all the shit we're having to put up with this, you know, with boys, men getting away with murder, and something like this happens. I mean, how is it a deterrent? How is it a deterrent? Well, you may as well, won't be doing any time. Austin spin-offs, the BBC and writers of the BBC TV series The Other Bennett Sister are eyeing up more overlooked Jane Austen characters. Trump happy to wait. President Trump has said he does not care about the midterm elections. Yeah, if you say so, Donny. Yeah, I don't care. You do what you like. I don't care. You do. I know you do. Manifold fights back. Albert Manifold has hit back on what he describes a false narrative surrounding his sudden ousting as BP chairman after less than a year on the job. Palace's UEFA crown. Jean-Philippe Matata goal gave Crystal Palace victory in the round ball competition. Finally, a film that captures some of the wit and allure of the Kate Moss I knew so well. Labour risk a lost generation of jobless youth. Landmark report by party grandee warns 1 in 6 young people will be on the dole by 2030 without major welfare reform. Yeah. And do you know what? This is obviously they've done this report because you know the writing on the wall here and what's going to happen is they've got to get rid of the triple lock. The government is basically in this what they're doing is they're saying, listen, get ready because we're going to have to get rid of it. They're obviously trying to get people on side to go, what we need to do is for the kids. Well, it'd be nice if they did something for the kids for a change. Mandelson told Cabinet how to do their jobs. HMRC puts trans users on fast track VIP phone line. Okay, that's who cares? What? I mean, that's great for trans users. Why is it always a story about how trans people are getting some advantage, over everybody else? Oh, we're all trying to get through to HMRC, and it's all those trans people that are stopping us from getting through. Just that's maddening, isn't it? And Burnham Blair just doesn't understand. Spies line up AI to prevent cyber attacks. Trump rejects latest plan to end Iran war. Sorry, God, that's easy mistake to make, isn't it? Britain's youth crisis as worklessness hits 1.5 million. Line of Duty is back, and Game of Drones, the Spygate shock. It's coming drone. England's World Cup base will be guarded by security chiefs. The Express here, piece of shit newspaper, saying time to scrap Ed's net zero fantasy. Yeah, cheers, Tony Blair. Getting into the mind of an icon for film. Okay. Be safe in water or more will die. Warnings of 7 children and 2 adults die swimming over 4 days. Oh my God, that's awful. America's days of dominance are numbered. I agree. This is Financial Times saying this. Not my words, Lynn. Zuckerberg discounts a lesson for SpaceX. Fossil Hunt, big spenders pursue T-Rex. Are they talking about the band? I like T-Rex. Empty coffers at Trump's board of peace leave Gaza rebuilding in limbo. No cash in official funds because Trump's stolen it all. $17 billion pledged for relief. Work yet to start. Doubt overboard status. Yeah, it's just said to these guys, can you get me $1 billion? And they're like, okay. Moscow licenses banks to shoot down drones as Kyiv exploits gaps in security. I mean, Kyiv exploits gaps in security. I mean, of course, they're being attacked. What would you expect them to do? Just take it? No, they're going to fight back. It's quite funny that they're having to do all this to try and to protect the banks in Moscow because they're being attacked. This is supposed to be a war that's miles away that doesn't affect them. Chaotic exit piles pressure on O'Neill for BP renewal. Heating bills up. Britain's gone balmy. Temperature falls, costs rise. Well, yeah, I mean, Metro. I'm sorry, but the reason why the price has gone up of everything is because of Donald Trump and what he's done in the Strait of Hormuz. Glam rock Cuthbert. The irony of my comments, get hate out. I'm looking into that HMRC story. Something doesn't feel right about that. Yeah, it'll be bollocks. What was it in the Telegraph? Half the stuff that they write is absolute. It's just they just make shit up. They'll find like one story about like one person who did one thing once, and it's like, oh, that represents the way it is for everybody. I just want to show you this, by the way, right? Because normally I do the briefing on the Financial Times. I can't do it today. This is genuine, right? Check this out, right? Look, look at the state of that. See there on the next to the dinosaur. It's such low res. I don't know. Maybe they think that if they do that, then I'll be like, oh well, I'm going to buy it. Then I'll buy your newspaper, mate. But maybe I might advertise it a bit by telling people about it, and they go, actually, that newspaper seems to write more nicer things than the other one. Maybe I'll just start reading that one, or buying it, or whatever. I don't know. I feel like I'm advertising it. Like when you got you swapped discs with your mates with games on it for your Amiga or your Atari ST or whatever. Tapes that you recorded games on for your Spectrum. And it was like, you got to try the games out, and the games were good, you bought them. That's the way it worked, right? Um, I say that, but that honestly, that is the way it works. You had loads of games that came out, and the first one sold all right, but there was a lot of piracy because people, with copying games and stuff. Then the sequel came out, and everyone was like, I can't wait, I can't wait. And I just jumped in both feet. Um, Glory Bullis says, you can track almost every degrading aspect of society to nepotism. It has always been the way of things. If you go through every civilization story, there's mad kings that kickstart the downfall. Yeah, yeah, you're right. The Daily Fail probably still haven't forgiven the workers in Sheffield um, in the late um, in the late 1800s for the Sheffield outrages. Yeah, social murder, premature death, systemic oppression. Thanks, Plant McGee, for the super chat. Um, hmm, there is a system. I mean, we talk about systemic failings in the police when it comes to the treatment of women, minorities, people in the LGBT community, but that's seen as like a bad thing. It's seen as like, okay, we need to get over this. We need to sort this out. We need to get a crack team of, you know, efficiency stars, but that's not the right term. But we need to get people looking at this and making it so that these police officers aren't so misogynistic, or if we do have a misogynistic police officer, we can get rid of them easily, and so they're not encouraging other police officers to behave in similar ways. When it comes to trans rights, it's like the world's upside down. It's like, yeah, no, it's good. It's a good thing that you're really horrible to trans people. It's like, what? What? Where did this come from? Why is it? And you could say exactly the same, because well, not exactly the same thing, but something similar about anti-Semitism as well. It's like, have you noticed how certain forms of bigotry are more acceptable than others? You get someone who goes, I'm not a bigot, I'm not a bigot, and I'm all for this right and these rights and these minority rights. And then there'll be one minority, and they're like, oh, everyone except them. No, not that lot, not those people, not those ones. And I think in a way that's worse than just being an overall bigot, because overall bigots can just be safely ignored. But then for someone who, for all intents and purposes, quite progressive in their outlook about how other people's, should live their lives in terms of like, well, I think they should have a good time, as long as they're not hurting anybody. And they hold this hatred in their heart for one particular group, and the cognitive dissonance that it requires to say, no, it's all right. It's all right that I hate this group because these other people hate that group as well. Or I can't be a feminist if I'm not transphobic. No, I can't. I can't support the Palestinian people unless I'm also anti-Semitic. And you're like, you don't have to. There's two things that's just not true. You can be a feminist and be a trans ally. You can be very against what is happening in Gaza and be supportive of the concept of the state of Israel. You can be not. You can be Jewish yourself. You can be not against like Jewish people existing. But yeah, I just think it's very telling. I keep going back to this. What was the one thing that kept on getting said again and again and again? Um, back when we were talking about the way the world was going, especially when 2016, 10 years ago now, with the advent of Trump and Brexit and everything. And we were saying what the world needs is more empathy. We need more older people going, well, it's not up to me. It's the younger generation. They need to decide what do they want. And the younger generation made it very, very clear, for instance, that they wanted us to stay in the EU. And the lack of empathy amongst older voters, not all of them, but enough, meant that didn't happen. They didn't take us back from the brink. They pushed us over, and they knew we did not want to go over the brink because they thought they knew better than the rest of us. They thought that that if they got their way, then their team wins, and the footballification of politics. And I thought it was very, very, very telling in that interview with Elon Musk, where he said the biggest problem in the world is And anyone else who isn't a psychopath or sociopath or a drug addict or whatever twitchy little twat, whatever he is, anyone else would say that the problem in the world right now, more than anything, is a lack of empathy. But that's not what he said. He said the problem was there's too much empathy. I'm watching this clip going, is that AI? Like, honestly, is that what he believes? Okay, that explains a lot. But oh my God, what a world. What a world. The younger generations should decide what they want. We decided you're wrong. The millennial experience in a nutshell. So it's California. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't even know if they say the first sentence though. Do they think that the younger generations should get what they want? I know best. I know best. And I, I, you can draw parallels with the empire. Britain thought it knew best. It didn't let people, didn't let societies develop naturally. Britain knew best. Britain knew the best way to doing things, the best ways to govern, the best sports to play, the best way to build buildings, etc., etc. I often think about how Aboriginal people are treated in Australia, have been treated. They, they, There's a film called Rabbit Proof Fence, and it's a really good film. It's quite upsetting to watch, and it's about these two Aboriginal girls who were kidnapped and taken to be brought up by a white family because they thought that was what was best for them. And it's got Kenneth Branagh in it, who's playing the guy who came up with this policy of the stolen generations. And at the end of the movie, he's like, "Can't these people see? What we're doing is in their best interest. You're taking people's children off them and having them raised by somebody else. It's in their best interest." And I don't see much difference between someone like that, and they exist, and the guys who flew the planes into the Twin Towers on September the 11th. They knew best. They were helping. They weren't the bad guys. They were all those people who died on that day. They all went to a special VIP section of heaven. You do know that, right? They believed they were doing a good thing. In the same way that the Kenneth Branagh character in Rabbit Proof Fence thought he was doing a good thing. And the people who voted for Brexit in this country thought they were doing a good thing. And we've got to stop talking over people who are making really good points about the way the world is and how we can make it better, and say no. I know what's best for you, and this all ties in with the the way things are going now with especially for trans youth. Like, it's people who aren't trans making decisions on their behalf. They have a they change the law, or they have a briefing paper goes out, or some kind of guidance. And did they invite trans people into the room to discuss it? Did they invite trans people to come and give evidence at the Supreme Court before the ruling last year? Did they? All they talk to is Sex Matters and the Turfy Lot and the 55 Tutton Street think tanks. They don't listen to people who are actually affected by it. I know that Marilyn Manson, the singer Brian Warner, is deeply problematic, and that's fair enough. That's a different matter. But he's in the movie Bowling for Columbine, and he got blamed for what happened in Columbine. And he can take the blame for some of the other shit that he's done personally, but he wasn't to blame for what happened in Columbine. And Michael Moore asks him in the movie, if you could say anything to the children of the who survived, what would you say to them? And he said, I wouldn't say anything. I would just listen. And that is such a good reply, and that's exactly the way we should be doing. How can we help? Instead of saying, "Here's the help. Look, I'm helping. I'm helping." So why are you taking medicine away from trans kids? Oh, because they might change their mind. I'm trying to help. Well, isn't that up to them? Isn't that their mistake to make if that's the case? And the fact is, was it one? It's only the regret rate of having gender affirming care is really, really low compared with suicidal ideation, which is incredibly high, especially amongst trans youth. And it's just like there's a there's this famous line that it's ridiculous, but where Ronald Reagan in the whole when these oligarchs and billionaires in the 80s wanted to stop the government from restricting them from doing whatever. They wanted to be completely deregulated. Yeah, and he said the most terrifying nine words in the English language are "I'm from the government. I'm here to help." And I think back now, like, that's a terrible line. The line that you want is that, I mean, he did it on purpose to make government sound bad. The line shouldn't be "I'm here to help." It should be "How can I help?" And we need to get this through our thick heads. It's not always up to us. It's not always what we want. I went off on one last night in one of my little many rants during the show about how there's loads of movies I don't like, but I'm glad they exist. I won't watch them. They're not my kettle of, not my cup of tea. But other people like them. And if they make money, I've got no problem with them existing. I really don't find Adam Sandler very funny at all. It just has a stick, and I'm just like, I don't find it, but some people do. And those movies make this shit ton of money. And with the money that those movies make, because it's not just the stars, it's the people working, it's the people honing their craft, it's the 1,000 people who are behind the scenes of making the movie, who are in gainful employment while that movie's being made. Even if it's a movie that I will never go and see, as long as it makes money back, I'm like, well, okay, well, then do it. You're creating that employment, but not just employment. You're creating that experience so people get better and better. The more you do something, the better you get at it. And if you have a CV as a working behind the scenes on a movie, and you just do one film, it's like a really good film, but it's just one of them. Or you've done 20 films and some of them have been a bit shit. I would, if I was employing someone, it was my choice. I'll take the person who's done 20 films and a few of them were a bit shit. I wouldn't say, "Oh, you worked on this movie and I hated it." It had James Corden in. I can't employ you because you'll know that even if it was a bum movie, that person would have had more experience working on 20 different films. Extrapolate that out across, the arts entirely, and the way the way we tend to feel like I'm guilty of this as well. I don't like this thing, so it shouldn't exist. And we have this a bit of a laugh in, Room 101 type thing. It's supposed to be a joke, and I'll put the Crocs in there all day long because I think they look disgusting. But that's my opinion. But here's the thing: I don't have to wear them, and no one forces me to wear those things on my feet. No one could make me wear those things on my feet. I'd rather cut off my own feet than wear those fucking things on my feet. But it's not up to me. It's not up to me what other people do. And instead of saying, "I'm from the government, I'm here to help," what we need to be saying is, "I'm from X, insert NGO or whatever it is here. How can I help?" And this goes for charities as well. You see a lot of top-down decision making in charities that are working in Africa, working in Asia, working in the Pacific, and you're like, you need to sit down with people and ask them what they want, ask them what they need, have a two-way conversation, and it's a lot easier now than ever before because we get to have these two-way conversations, sitting on our own rooms with people all over the world. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. Plant McGee, thank you for the super chat. That's very kind. It's going to be the last one because I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to wrap up now. NHS delays killed 29,000 in 2024-25. Austerity caused 200,000 excess deaths 2020 to 23. A 7-year life expectancy gap persists. This is ongoing social murder. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And it's because of a lack of empathy and this idea of individualization of everything, this atomization of everything. If things fuck up in your life, it's your fault and you have to take responsibility. And if you say, well, actually, the system is stacked against you from the start, then people give you a short shrift and say, oh no, you can't say that. You got all these benefits, all these things that we gave you. It's like, You made it so difficult, so demoralizing to get those benefits, to get those things, those carrots you dangled. I didn't have time to do anything else, and it's not good. It's not good for people's mental health, because why do people go to therapy? Right, most of the time, it's just so they can talk about what's going on in their life. That's it. I know that sounds a little bit, pithy, but it's true. A lot of people who ring the Samaritans don't ring them because they're just about to jump off a bridge. A lot of people ring because they're lonely. They want someone to talk to. They want someone to bounce ideas off. They want someone to say, "I had a shit day today," and talk about it, because that's a human. It's human nature. It's what we do, and part of that, just we need to be better, all of us, but especially the rich and the elderly. We need to get better at listening. He says, after doing a 65 and a half hour um, uh, live stream. But in my defense, I couldn't have done that live stream without you. I needed you there. I needed you in there, writing things in the comments, having a laugh, taking part. I couldn't have done that just talking to a camera in an empty room. I need a cat. I need a cat to come and help me out and bring me food and make me coffee and stuff like that. And she was happy to do that. She's very supportive. When I travelled around the world, I travelled alone most of the time, but I had an entire team of people behind me: my mum and my dad, my friends Dino and Lorna, my then girlfriend Mandy, my cousin Leo even. Uh, all helped out, behind the scenes. Hugh, just like so many of my friends uh, did what they could, and I couldn't have done it without them. It's as simple as that. And I think that's why my ideal is that we identify the problems that we have, and we work together on solutions for it. But we have to include the stakeholders in anything, the people who it affects, and there's something incredibly demoralizing in being told how to live your life, or the options for you to live your life, by someone you've never met from another country, or not, well, in our case, in London, this might as well be another country. It's like top down, we know best. And I think it's time for us as a society to look at the way that we treat each other, and look at the way we're not listening. We're all talking over each other. And I think it's time for even me to just, occasionally shut the fuck up and listen, and just say, well, what do you want? What do you want? And keep that conversation going. Lee Cole, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. Congrats on the record breaking live stream. Now get some sleep and save your voice. Oh, thank you very much, Lee. That is very kind of you. Ren, sending love to Gallifrey and Ren, who's getting refused PIP, which is disgraceful. And now you're going to go to tribunal. Look, we're with you all the way on this, Gallifrey and Ren. If there's anything that we can do to help, please let us know. Plants, so it two-edged sword. Yeah, it is. Scott, I really do hope it drives business my way. I've tweaked all my listings, gave them a refresh, so hopefully that will wake up the algorithm. On Graham, incoming outro, and the amazing achievements of the lad. I wish everyone the best day, and take care of yourself. Much appreciated company, and laters. Thank you so much, Lost Missionary. Thanks to Deers. Thanks to Person Impersonator. Thanks to Martin Harrow, Elle, and everybody else who stuck with us thick and thin. Really, really appreciate it. I don't know if I'm going to do another show today, just because I shall probably rest my voice. But whatever happens, I should be back tomorrow morning, bright and early, 9 o'clock, with another morning brew. Hopefully back on top form. And until then, thank you so much for watching. Thank you just for being awesome. Thank you for being you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, and you're sitting in you're sitting there watching this, but you're not actually taking part in the chat here, all you need to do is hit first of all, give us a like, everyone. Whether you're subscribed or not, give us a like. Also, if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. If you are subscribed, please hit the bell notification icon, because there's some shows that crop up as the news comes through about something, and then we'll do a show about it. So thank you. Love and peace and respect to each and every one of you. And until next time, I say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.